Something really interesting is happening in real estate right now. For a growing number of Jews outside of Israel, buying a property there is becoming less about the investment and a whole lot more about a strategic plan. We're talking about a tangible backup plan in a world that just feels more and more unpredictable.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at why the old ideas of safety are changing. Then, we'll get into this fascinating concept of political insurance. After that, we'll explore what a Plan B actually looks like, where people are buying, and finally, what all of this means for the market as a whole.
For decades, there was this kind of unspoken assumption, a mental map where certain countries were just considered safe havens. But a series of recent events has really forced people to throw that old map out the window and start fresh.
And this quote, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? There is no away anymore. After events like the attack of Bondi Beach, a place you'd think is about as far away and detached as you can get, that feeling that you could just be away from it all, that's gone. The world just feels a lot smaller.
So check this out. This table gets to the heart of what's being called the Israeli paradox. And the key here isn't about which place has more threats, but the kind of threats you face. In the diaspora, it can be random, sporadic hate crimes where you feel like a victim. In Israel, the threats are more organized and external, but you're a citizen, you're part of a national defense system. It's a huge psychological shift, from feeling vulnerable to feeling like an active participant in your own security.
Okay, so with this new reality, how are people actually responding? Well, it's leading to a new strategy, and it actually borrows a name from the corporate world to describe something deeply personal: political risk insurance.
Normally, when you hear political risk insurance, you think big business, right? It's a tool multinational companies use to protect their factories or their money in unstable countries. It's all about the bottom line, a purely financial move. But here's the twist. People are taking that corporate idea and making it personal. Suddenly, an apartment in Tel Aviv isn't just about the rental income. It's a real, tangible contingency plan. It's a physical foothold. It's turning a financial asset into family security.
And this quote from a developer who works with these buyers, it just hits the nail on the head. It's not just an investment anymore. For these buyers, it's about security, it's about legacy, and it's about identity. All right, so you've got this feeling, this anxiety. But how do you turn that into an actual, concrete strategy? That's where this idea of Plan B really comes into play.
Now here's the key thing to understand about this. For most people, Plan B doesn't mean packing their bags tomorrow. It's about building the infrastructure for a move just in case. It's the difference between having a fire escape plan and trying to figure out how to get out of a burning building.
So a solid Plan B isn't just one thing. It's really built on 3 key pillars. Let's break them down. First, you've got legal access. That means getting the citizenship paperwork started now so you're not stuck in a bureaucratic mess during a crisis. Second, the physical foothold. That's the actual property. And third, financial mobility. Having a bank account there, diversifying your assets, it's about being ready on all fronts.
At the end of the day, this whole thing is about a huge mental shift, right? It's moving from a passive mindset of, I really hope things don't get worse, to a much more active, prepared mindset of, I'm ready if they do.
And get this, for some people, especially in places like New York, the strategy is getting even more detailed, even more, sophisticated. It's not just about buying something new, it's about moving assets around.
So what is this equity swap? Basically, it's a direct answer to a very specific fear. What if my property at home starts losing value because of local politics? The idea is to take the equity you have in a U.S. property and strategically move it into an Israeli one. You're basically swapping an asset you're nervous about for one that feels like a safe haven.
Okay, so we've talked about the why and the how. But is this real? Can we see it happening on the ground? Let's look at the numbers.
Whoa, okay, look at this chart. This tells a huge story. This is the attendance at Israeli real estate expos that were touring the U.S. Before October 7th, you're looking at maybe 250 people. After, 400. That's a massive jump. It shows that what was maybe a someday idea for a lot of people has turned into a right-now search.
And people aren't just buying anywhere. They're being super strategic. They're targeting what you might call soft landing spots. Think cities with big English-speaking communities, great amenities, and markets that are easy to buy into and sell out of. You're not just buying a property, you're buying into a community.
So what does all this mean? This big shift in why people are buying, from yield to security, is creating a whole new reality for the Israeli real estate market. This chart is so interesting because it really breaks down the motivations. And you can see, yeah, fear is a big piece of the pie. Rising anti-Semitism is right there at the top. But it's not the only piece. You've also got practical things like political shifts and diversifying investments, mixed with that deeper search for identity and legacy. It's a really complex mix of pragmatism, fear, and hope.
And you know, this isn't happening in a vacuum. It actually fits right into a much bigger picture of what wealthy families are doing all over the world. A full 44% of them are looking to put more money into real estate. Why? They're looking for stable, tangible assets in a world that feels anything but.
And all this leads to a pretty powerful motivator to act now, to avoid something they're calling the panic premium. It's simple, right? The price you pay when you're forced to buy during a crisis when everyone else is scrambling is always going to be higher than the price you pay when you plan ahead.
So you can see how the effects of this just ripple out across the whole market, right? For the buyers, it's about peace of mind. For sellers in Israel, it's a new wave of demand. And for the Israeli market itself, it means real price pressure, especially in those soft landing cities we just talked about.
So, all of this leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? As the old maps of what's safe and what's not are being totally redrawn, we have to ask, is a property deed the new ultimate insurance policy? For a growing number of people, the answer seems to be a definitive yes.